Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video. Welcome back to another Challenger Spectate, and today we're watching a Tristana AD carry. You might be like, why? I obviously have been doing a bit of scouting to do some good Challenger Spectates for you guys over the festive season, and this person's match history is mental. Like, we are talking top 10 EOS Challenger and having absolute insane performances on Trist, to the point that I'm like, I have to see what happens. Remember, these people can't duo queue, and they can't duo queue kinda. And again, I do have to make that point, because some people are like, no, Huz, they can't duo queue. You can't duo queue in Master and above. No, you can't. But you also have to remind yourself that in Challenger, in EU West, there's 300 players. And obviously, yes, they do play with Master or Grandmaster players to fill out, you know, the MMR and games. But it's very likely, if you're a Challenger player, especially a top 10 Challenger player, you know the top 50 players, you probably play with them pretty damn often. And if you've played with the same players for the last few years, I am also aware that there's a few Discord servers just for Challenger players and stuff on the US or NA, like they exist. If you so happen to know, oh, I know my AD carry and my support were both on the same Discord Challenger server over US, why don't we hop on voice comms? So again, you can't duo queue, you sometimes kind of can. You can't go into a game preemptively together and etc. Sure, but it doesn't mean you can't be on voice comms in Challenger. So yeah, that's the one thing I would say. So hilariously, look what's happening here. An Evelyn, obviously very weak level 1, can get bullied quite easily, and an Alistair is just kind of messing with her, you know, just delaying her start. Obviously, we saw Zed just died, didn't use any subs, which is a bit weird. This is hurting Tristana's early game. We're against a Draven that people still consider one of the strongest, if not the strongest, solo queue AD carry. And again, the solo queue AD carry, not overall AD carry. There's a difference. Janna's not a terrible matchup with Draven. I prefer not realistically to have a Janna. Sorry, I was just taking off my slipper. But yeah, I don't historically love Janna, but it's not because of the champion. And people are like, huh? I just have a bad experience with Janna players more than the champion. I don't know why. But this player looks to, you can see their name is Bard are dead. So presumably it's a Bard player, and Bard doesn't really go that well with Draven. The biggest thing that I would say with Draven is he doesn't suit, weirdly, the current support solo queue meta of roaming a lot, because you want your Draven to, one, have a really good lane phase, and he has the worst lane phase if you leave lane as a support. But so, whoa, you're going in at level 1, Alistair. Now level 2. He was a minion away from that. Whoa, Draven. I mean, it's not terrible for a Draven, obviously, but it's bad now. So Draven's going for a first blood. Obviously not first blood because Zed died, but Draven's looking for any early kill. He's looking to early snowball, but not worth a double kill to a Trist. Draven, by the way, didn't even use exhaust. That might have helped the Janna either to survive or turn and try to kill the Tristana. Some people may also notice, yes, we have a Hail of Blades Janna. This is a new thing that some Jannas are doing. I don't think it's great, but the reason I think they're doing it, and again, correct me if I'm fully wrong or anything, is Janna got a change recently that basically tried to move her away from being an AFK support, like Yuumi or whatever. Because Janna before, in essence, was just a Q bot that she would just charge big Q tornadoes, and that was about it. They changed that because they nerfed the Q, and they put more strength into both the W and I think the auto attack from your E. And yeah, if you get auto attacks off on Janna, you can do a lot of early little damage that kind of adds up. So yeah, it's popular-ish. So Alistair is going, and you know, Alistair, you can see here, is playing as the typical modern support who half the time isn't in bot lane. You can see Janna isn't doing that. And that is just the difference between a Draven that you have to really babysit and really try to give him a good early game, and Trist. Trist hyperscales. She's a hyper carry. Like, yes, she wants a good early game, but she's not completely dependent on it like a Draven is. They've got to be careful that these two are playing aggressive, and yes, it's a level 2 Alistair. He's oh, I was going to say Draven committed his E really early there, but problem is the Alistair's only level 2. So you're both seeing the positive of Alistair roaming is he's got 4 assists already. That's not bad. The negative is he's really far behind on XP. and that's ultimately hurting him a lot. So you can see this is how aggressive the enemy team wants to be, and this is ultimately why a support doesn't leave Draven. So this is actually going really well for Draven now. And again, reminding everyone, we're watching the Tristana because their match history is insane. But yeah, this game is a struggle. You can see Alistair, maybe not surprising now, has decided, you know, yes, he died. I'm going to go back to bot lane. He's decided, oh, I'm not going to continue roaming. And that is the thing that I would say. It has become a little bit silly. It has gone extreme in terms of support roaming. Like, ultimately, you're a support bot lane, and that's where you should primarily be. But yeah, some supports just don't do that anymore, and it's bizarre. One thing I also want to point out, not about the Tristana, but just kind of weird to see, you've got a very classic matchup in top lane, Renekton versus Jax. It's a bit of like an old, you know, classic cat and mouse matchup that Jax obviously outscales Renekton, but can a Renekton get strong enough in the early game to like see him through strength-wise before Jax can get too strong? But then Renekton's gone cull. That's a bizarre decision, like literally a bizarre decision. You don't go an investment item on Renekton when you have to win the early game. It's like Draven. You will not see or shouldn't see a Draven go cull, but if you saw a Kai'Sa or a Vayne, makes a lot more sense. But yeah, Draven is very strong in terms of item differences. Good gank potential, though, by Brand. Brand level 6. Wow. Nice kill, but still was quite close. That Draven nearly ended up with a kill. Maybe you should have been a bit more careful. I don't know if they just don't have vision here. Obviously, we're seeing vision perspective of red team. But yeah, you could even say sloppy to die there. You know, obviously, Draven, one of the counters to Draven, and people can go, obviously, yeah, it's dying, but more so than the average champion. Why? So part and parcel why Draven mains are known to be insanely toxic is the design of the champion. And some people are like, what? So Draven's whole passive is about when he catches his spinning axes of his Q, he builds up a bounty or whatever system it's called. Jax has already killed Renekton, by the way. But yeah, he builds up a bounty the more he catches, and when he kills somebody, he gets it to cash out. When he dies, he loses a portion of that. It might completely reset, or at least he loses a fair amount of it. It's awful for a Draven to die. And when a Draven dies, and again, this is where like the toxicity comes in, and Jack's taking over more. Alistair's top lane. Back to roaming, I see. But yeah, basically, when a Draven dies, but he's like, no, I could have gotten that kill, and my support didn't help me, it brings out that kind of toxicity that obviously Dravens are very famous for. I don't know why. I remember Riot a few years ago, and let me know, question of the video if you want, like, what main champion group would you say is pretty toxic? Obviously, yes, there's Draven. Whoa, mamma mia. Yes, obviously there's Draven. That was a crazy stun. Good Q by Janna, though. Janna did use ultimate. Ignite also from Janna. Draven ultimate, which, by the way, does more damage. Hello, Miss Maya. Does more damage the more his passive is, too. Really nice play by Trist to get the kill. Hello, puppy dog. But yeah, I remember when Riot themselves did a whole, like, investigation on it, or they released information, and this was years ago, by the way. It very much could be different. But weirdly, one of the most toxic groups of mains was Janna. I don't know why. I remember we've had this conversation on stream a few times of like, why would an enchanter support be toxic? I sometimes get it in the fact that they might feel a bit useless. If whoa, lag. That was replay lag. I was wondering why she was just standing there. But yeah, that's my only thought of why like an enchanter support like a Janna would sometimes be a bit toxic, because ultimately they're not a carry. They're the opposite of that. They're enabling carries, and if their carries aren't good in their eyes, they are useless themselves. So that's my only guess, realistically. Now you can see mid lane is going absolutely mental, by the way, in terms of... Wait, I just saw Jax die. Did Renekton kill him? By the way, Renekton should kill him in the early game. Whoa, Mr. Alistair. Unfortunately, Tristana had already used her E on the tower, which is a shame. But Zed might still be dead. Yes, he does in the end. Very nice play. Good patience by everybody there. But yeah, this Zed is getting completely destroyed. A lane swap has happened, which I would say I'm a little bit weirded out by. Oh, Evelyn. Oh, is he alive? Go, cow. Oh, Brand does get the kill, though. So yeah, I would say a lane swap is a bit peculiar. I don't know why they've, in essence, lane swapped. Obviously, Zed is getting destroyed in terms of farm and deaths. Draven is doing well. And again, he just got another kill on Yone, by the way. So it's going very well for this Draven. And he's 30 farm ahead. A bit of an odd lane swap to me. Again, Yone, incredibly overpowered champion. But against a fed Draven in the early game, you're squishy. Like, until you get 2-3 items on Yone, unless you're hyper fed... you know, right now, Yone hasn't got even one complete item. Like, nobody does. So again, in a 2v1 situation, yeah, that was probably a bad idea for Yone to try and fight that if he did. So the lane swap's over. Again, not really sure what that was about in the first place. You do see some odd lane swaps nowadays. Tower's nearly dead, by the way, and that's just the early pressure from a Draven. Brand is in the wrong place, and he is going to end up dead. Draven nearly gets that, and he does. Again, this Draven, incredibly fed. Yone does pick up a nice kill, though, and Yone's doing Yone things. Does get exhausted, but he uses exhaust himself. Don't think he's got anything else, and Zed picks up his first kill. Tristana not in the area. Like, I can't blame the Tristana for not being there. That was a bit of an odd situation. So, realistically, you've got a pretty strong Trist. Like, you know, she's 5-1. She's just a lot way down in farm. Versus a Draven on 6 kills, but more farm. Gold-wise, if it works, there we go. Yeah, she's 2,000 gold behind the Draven. That's pretty bad. But what, again, you're seeing here, it's hilariously the exact same situation of top lane, apart from it's not going well for the Renekton. And yeah, he didn't kill the Jax, by the way, because Renekton doesn't have a kill. But yeah, Renekton gets outscaled by Jax. He basically, at this point, has already definitely been outscaled. Draven gets outscaled by Trist. I would say it's close of who would win a fight still, I would say, between Trist and Draven. I think the Draven would win if he's got these exhaust up. But it's basically just a inevitable, and this sometimes it does feel like that in solo queue. It's an inevitable victory for red team if they just get to late game. It feels blue team had to get a Renekton snowballing, had to get a Evelynn snowballing to get Magi stacks, had to get a Draven snowballing. And that isn't really happening. You know, Evelynn does still have 4 kills in a game that actually hasn't gone that well. Tristana's coming here, does get 1 kill. Really good she got that initial kill. Ooh, very nice. Does die to Janna of all people, so who cares? Doesn't honestly matter if Janna gets a kill. So that is a pretty good double kill for Trist. Still obviously down on farm. Draven does eventually end up here, though. Can they do anything? Yes, he gets stunned. Ignited by Alistar. They need to be careful. Just run away. And they do get the shutdown, and very nice. So again, that's really obviously a bad death for Draven, because that completely ruins his passive. Yone obviously making his way. But yeah, Tristana wants to go back bot lane. She's now 20 farm behind where she was 30, so that gap is slowly getting closer together. And, you know, I would kind of expect in the next 5 minutes Tristana actually to take a farm lead. You have to remember Tristana is an incredibly fast farming champion, where he obviously is doing explosion damage, and the quicker you're killing initial minions, the more AoE is happening, and she can just absolutely annihilate a wave. Like, that was really quick, and she's only got 1 item complete right now. She's also a very good tower taker. So if she can get a couple plates here, again, the gold difference between her and Draven will start getting closer and closer. She didn't commit an E at the beginning. Guess probably because obviously towers, the less plates they've got, they have less armor. So therefore Tristana saves her E for later, and therefore it'll do more damage. So you can see both Alistar and Janna now are on full, like, let's group up mid lane. Janna's instantly dead. Again, not really expecting this Janna to do well. And again, I'm not saying this player's bad. They're a better player than I, challenger, whatever this player is. It's just a really stupid Janna build. I've seen it a few times now, and it's never done good. It's Crown Janna. It's, again, I would say it's a stupid build, because how I would define each champion, again, in my game developer brain, each champion has a job. And if you're fulfilling that job or not, this build is not fulfilling Janna's job at all. Like, Janna's job is protecting an AD carry or her team, giving shields that gives AD, slowing enemies, disrupting them with tornadoes, and eventually even ulting to heal or disengage an enemy team. This Janna build is basically a weak version of Janna, in the fact that you're not getting items that prioritize heal and shield power. Really nice ult by Trist. I don't think she's going to... Oh, good flash, though. And she still dies because Evelyn is a thing. She might die, and she does. It's a nice return kill because that ruins the stacks that the Evelyn gained. But yeah, Evelyn is a bit of a silly champion. You do see them from time to time, usually one tricks. And this Evelyn is half farm, but still is maintaining a lot of kills because, again, that champion just gets kills for fun. Usually, obviously, we'll get Magi every game. Dragon priority, though, from the Brand, which I like to see. Brand, I would say, is a pretty good jungler, by the way. His weakness is just if an Evelyn does get fed or a Kha'Zix against him gets fed, he can just go dead. But at this stage of the game, he's got 2 completed items. He's quite far ahead of the Evelyn, realistically, and XP-wise, he's a level ahead. Would I say he's safe to an Evelyn? Not really. Like, I think an Evelyn would probably still potentially kill him. But he's pretty good. And again, in a team fight, a Brand obviously is one of the best team fighting mages in the game. Tristana obviously did just come back and instantly going, so I'd imagine she's going to have close to Infinity Edge at this point. Oh, she's going Navori Quick Blades. Guess makes sense. Again, Navori is for... both obviously Infinity Edge and Navori have the same base passive. But what Navori does really good is if you're an ability-based AD carry crit champion, it gets those back quicker. So for Tristana, you know, her bread and butter is her E. It gets your E up quicker. It gets your W up quicker, but it's obviously a reset. But it's realistically a very good item. I think you could probably still get away with going Infinity Edge on Tristana as well, but it just depends playstyle or preference. Not every AD carry has that luxury of having, oh, I could do either. I do think Tristana is one of the ones that can. Yeah, I don't think Renekton should fight. Again, when a Renekton already at 17 minutes in the game cannot take on the enemy AD carry, you know you're in for a bad time. I've said for a long time now, and you know, you guys have heard me say it, I just don't get the obsession with Renekton that people have had for the past year or so. To me, he's incredibly weak. And he's only strong in coordinated play that you can make use of a Renekton with like a jungler in the early game's pressure, or if your opponent doesn't have a brain. If your opponent doesn't have a brain and they for some reason fight a Renekton in level 1 to 5 or level 1 to even 6, yeah, they deserve to lose. But hell, I've even seen Jaxes beat Renektons before level 6. Like, Riot have had to nerf Renekton because of his pro play popularity. Brand does go down to the tower, but he does obviously get the kill on Renekton again. So yeah, the game has opened up a little bit. Like the Draven obviously is pretty strong, 7-5. Did I say, by the way, in 5 minutes Tristana would overtake the Draven's farm? And look what's happened. Yeah, she's overtaken the Draven's farm. It's like I know League of Legends a little bit. But yeah, you've still got a Yone this game. I don't know what the hell. Is he buying an Iceborne? I think he's buying an Iceborne Gauntlet on Yone. I have seen one Yone do that. And the reason why I've seen that, it's all because Yone is calculating in his head whether he needs to do it or not. But what Yone is thinking is he is obviously a side lane champion. That's what they want to do. They want to split push. A likely person, or 2 people you could say the Yone is going to be against, is primarily the Zed, but maybe the Renekton. And Yone has enough damage to kill both of those champions with basically just Kraken Slayer, which is crazy, but it's true. His base kit and Kraken Slayer, he has enough damage. What he needs is just to survive, and that's what Iceborne gives him. So I have seen that before, and I don't even know if Yone technically needs to do it. I think the champion is so kind of crazy strong that he can just do his standard build, and he would be just stronger anyway. It's a safer build, but yeah. Enemy team diving the Jackson top lane with increased numbers. And that's honestly what the enemy team has to do. For them to get into this game and try to get back in, they have to go as a roaming gank squad and hope that they can just get quite a few kills that way. Draven trying to clear the wave with his ultimate, but not going to clear enough. So even though, yeah, they kill Renekton, they kill a tower, they've lost a tier 2, and now a roaming gank squad from red team is heading down to bot lane. Zed instantly going all in on the Yone. Not probably the brightest idea, but Yone outplayed himself. I've always said, what is the biggest way a Yone, one of the strongest champions in the game, suffers? They outplay themselves. That's how a Yone loses. Strongest champion, arguably, in the game, constantly will outplay themselves. Evelyn not stealthed anymore, and that's going to be a pretty big weakness for her. Tristana, I'm not sure she's going to be able to do anything here. Her biggest thing would be try to get the kill. Oh, wow. I was going to say, try to get the kill. She killed the Evelyn, I think, with the E, gives her the reset that then helps her kill the Janna, and then the Renekton literally can't do anything. So yeah, this is Tristana in a nutshell. Her early game was okay, but it was just a bit crazy. But we're in mid-game now. You know, we're at double item Trist. We're nearly at triple item. She's going to be outscaling the Draven. She's going to be outscaling most things. And the weird thing about Trist, I'd even say, and you know, you can tell I'm quite a fan of Tristana in AD carry, not so much mid lane anymore. It's like Tristana of all AD carries to survive against something like an Evelyn or a Zed is probably one of the better ones to try and survive against them, mainly just because of her two things. One, her ultimate pushes them away, and two, her jump. So Tristana can create so much more space than other AD carries. Like even Ezreal, he can just E away, let's say. Tristana can jump away, which is maybe the same distance as Ezreal's E, if not more distance, but she can also ult them away. And obviously, yeah, you can always say, oh, Ezreal could flash and E. Yeah, Tristana could do that too. She could flash, W, and ultimate away. That is more distance covered than any other AD carry, minus Kai'Sa. But obviously, Kai'Sa does it different. And I guess Zeri. Zeri rides a wall. Kai'Sa has to jump on top of an enemy target. So to simply just create safe space, yeah, Tristana probably is the best for doing that. Enemy team, I don't know, a little bit desperate is going on here. Again, they're going into the enemy jungle without much thought. They're trying what they can. He should die to the bot. Trist is going to go down, but can she? Yes, kill the Zed before the pop happens. And that, by the way, was Jax wasn't there. So quadra kill for Tristana, incredible DPS. And yeah, just ultimately a really good champ. I would say Tristana's a really good solo queue champion. If you're an AD carry at the end of the season looking just for a bit more LP, if you haven't played Trist, I'd actually recommend it. Because the weird thing, yeah, sure, maybe not against a Draven. She's a lane bully. Everybody, I remember making content about Trist for years, and people be like, so wait, she wins lane, but she also hyperscales? Doesn't that make no sense? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the way that Tristana's always been. She's always been a hyper-scaling AD carry. Again, usually crit AD carries a lot of the time do scale very well. Draven, obviously, historically isn't one of the best for that, but he's a very strong lane champion, and that's why. But Tristana is typically a good lane champion, but also hyperscales. And I think partially why she has kind of both, just to make it clear, is because she's an ability-based AD carry, but then scales later with her auto attacks with crit. So in the early game, a lot of the time, her abilities are doing a lot of damage, her W, her E, and that can help you in the early game. But then in late game, yeah, your abilities are still not doing bad, but then your autos are then absolutely chunking people. Zed, don't know what he's doing. Your autos then are the thing that takes over in late game, but you've still got your abilities. So that's, I think, why you have kind of the best of both worlds. Oh, Evelyn just ulted directly into the Tristana's path. Yone doing Yone things, and Tristana at this point is outscaled. Draven's level, I think, 12 to Tristana's level 15. So, yeah, and this is what a Tristana can do. She's also one of, dare I say, one of the best AD carries. Kind of like a Jinx almost, of she gets one kill, or her W resets, and then she can kind of go on to the next kill and the next kill. She's a reset champion, obviously, fundamentally, and that's really good for snowballing. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Tristana. This player's match history is very impressive. Again, to have these type of performances, and the end of the day, 20 kills in Challenger against other Challenger players is kind of mad. And obviously, it wasn't even a great early game. The Draven at one point, I think, was 4-1, beating the Tristana, beating the Alistar. It wasn't looking good, but she just started to take over later. So yeah, really good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, do throw a like on the video. Let me know what you think of Tristana. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Hope you're having a good festive season. But yeah, see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime and